Like, they can guard. They have answers for almost anything. They're just going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem to handle. We're going to talk NBA title bubble version 2. This is well overdue. The first version came out about late January. Here are the rules. These are the teams that I trust right now to win the NBA championship in the title bubble. It's not, think of it as like the COVID bubble in a sense, but think of it also like the old college dorm room. You can't have too many people in there because you'll go over fire code. So in the title bubble, no more than 8 teams can be in said bubble. We have 6 teams that are currently in the NBA bubble, title bubble. Then we got about a handful of 5 or 6 that are, kind of in the waiting room. And then it's pretty much everybody else. So the NBA title bubble starts now. And let's start with, in my mind, the team that, as much as I love the team that I think is the second favorite, not that I don't love the team that is the favorite, but I think you can't bet against them, and that is the Denver Nuggets, your defending NBA champion. Nuggets are clear. I mean, listen, it's clear and obvious. The question is right now, how much is the gap between them and everybody else? The question that I have when it comes to the Nuggets is, are we delaying the inevitable? Here's what I mean. This Nuggets team last season absolutely bulldozed through the NBA playoffs. It took the game in Minnesota where Anthony Edwards goes nuts and Jokic doesn't play great for them to lose a game. And then against Phoenix, it took 2 insane offensive performances from both Durant and Booker to take 2 games. And then in games 5 and 6, the Suns got absolutely shelled. And then, of course, they sweep the Lakers. And then in the Heat, they need this out-of-body experience fourth quarter to win game 2 before losing in 5. So the Nuggets last year snowplowed through the NBA playoffs. I think the Nuggets will struggle more, but I still think you would be hard to not bet against them in the playoffs to win the title. At times this season, the Nuggets have kind of just will kind of lollygag through the year. But think of some of the games where they're the bigger games. They're on the road against, just since the calendar year turned, they're on the road against the Warriors. They win. After a crazy comeback. They're in Boston and end their undefeated streak at home. They go to they beat the Sixers at home. They beat the Bucks at home. I don't know. I think there's a world that exists where we are. They lost a bit of that continuity, but we saw tonight where they're down 9 with 3.5 minutes left, and they flipped the switch so fast. Everybody makes winning plays. They still have elite role players in Gordon and KCP, MPJ when he's not, shooting hilariously bad shots is a difference maker. The Jamal Murray, of course, is a super duper playoff star, and they have bench pieces. I like what they've got. Christian Brown, we saw in the playoffs. Peyton Watson, I think, is going to be a huge asset for them in the postseason. But regardless, at the end of the day, as long as you have Murray and Jokic, obviously Jokic being the fulcrum here, it might not matter. Number 2, the Boston Celtics. The Celtics were the hottest team in the league. They've been the best team in the league all year long. Their point differential stuff is hilarious. When they outmatch a team, they just bulldoze them. As long as Porzingis is healthy, as long as this team is healthy, they are so the gap last year from the Nuggets to the rest of the league was insurmountable. The gap from the Celtics to the rest of the East, in my opinion, right now, is insurmountable. Let me start with Jason Tatum. People, I understand that we have this LeBron James like greatness around us that people take for granted and people bash, but then also we spin it into a hatred for when guys aren't like as good or checking the boxes that he did as early in his career, or the type of counting statistics that he did earlier in his career at the early stages in his career. I just want people to understand. I'm not comparing Tatum to LeBron, but people lose their minds because Jason Tatum is like the sixth best player in the league, and people think it's crazy. And they're like, you can't win with him. You can't win with him as your number one. And when I hear that, it's the most uneducated take, I think, in sports media is this Jason Tatum, you can't win with him as your number one stuff. I don't know. I don't get it. I feel like the last, he's been in the league, I think, this is year 6, right? Like I'm looking up stats. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is year 7. I feel like I don't know, 7 years of his career have shown you can win with him as your best player. Considering, like, remember the time he was a rookie and Kyrie Irving got hurt and he was the best player on a team that went to game 7 against Apex LeBron? Do you remember? Do we remember that? I understand that people don't like the Celtics, and I understand that the Jason Tatum stuff is it. Listen, I get it. Actually, I don't. I'm lying. I don't get it. I don't get what people don't love about him, because for the last 3 years, especially, he's been one of the best offensive and defensive players in the league. And then I tie that into the Celtics in general. Do you know how many teams would take the Celtics last 8 years where they've gone to a bunch of conference finals? They went to the finals in 2 years ago. I understand they haven't gotten over the hump. But do you understand their top 2 guys are a combined 52 years old or whatever? It's insane. But when people talk about the Celtics, it's like, yeah, they're choke artists, man. Like, what? Okay, the finals happened 2 years ago. They were all children, and Jordan Poole was turned into Jamal Crawford, combined with like the greatest sixth men ever, and Andrew Wiggins turned into Scottie Pippen, and Kevon Looney turned into Dennis Rodman for 2 weeks, and the Warriors were able to win the title. Like, we're going to study that one day and realize how every single oddity outside of Steph has just basically died since that moment. That's my rant. Celtics, they're in the title bubble. The only other team in the East that I have is the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm not going to bet against Giannis, at least when it comes to who I think can win the title, who can win 16 games in April, May, and June. But that it's gotten a little bit better lately. Since the All-Star break especially, they have really kind of turned the wick up a bit. And listen, the offense is nuts and the defense has moments. That's about the best I can say. All right, the last 3 teams here are all Western Conference teams. First one is the Los Angeles Clippers. It looks like they're probably going to be the 4 seed, pending, unless they can go on a bit of a run down the stretch. They're still 39-21. It's not like it's the end of the world, but they're a couple games back here of the 3 seeds. If Kawhi is healthy, if Paul George is healthy, if Harden is still capable, as long as those 3 things are there, you'll have a shot. They'll have a shot to win, especially because of how good Kawhi has been. This team is fun. Team is fun to watch. Now, look, they had that weird-ass loss to the Lakers. They're at 20 in the 4th quarter, and then LeBron James just went, like, absolutely nuclear. That was last week. The offense has a lot of mojo. They got some good size. They got some good depth. And they're going to be a bitch and a half to get out. That's going to be the thing. Like, they can guard. They have answers for almost anything. They're just going to be a problem. They're going to be a problem to handle. Oklahoma City. The biggest gripe people have right now with them, especially because the other night they got big boyed by the Lakers, is that they don't have the requisite size to hang with certain teams. Shea's been amazing. The gripe people have had with the Thunder is that they didn't go out and get size at the deadline. And I get it. I understand. But, and even I said it too, like you never know, especially the Thunder should know that your window is never, it's never guaranteed, right? There is nothing wrong with trying to find out what you have and trying to find out if it works. Let this team get their lumps, or maybe your style is just superior to others. I don't think it will be in the end. They're literal babies, and they're all amazing. I think getting the 1 seed would be huge for them. I think it would be important because of the fact that just to have them, to know that the entire Western Conference goes through them. It's going to be fun. This team's going to be fun no matter what. I think they're going to make a run. I think they'll at least, if they stay on the right side of the bracket, they're at least going to get to potentially the conference finals. And listen, man, these guys on this stage, I don't think they're going to be afraid. I have no problems putting them in my title bubble because I think they can win 16 games. Last team is, this, of course, the Timberwolves. Now. Oh, baby. This team, I want to love it. Man, this team has a lot of dumb in them. This team has a lot of really goofy stuff in them. Like, here's the problem. I love, this first part's not a problem, but just go with me. Love what this team gives on the defensive end. All of them were like bought in. They have depth with size. They have length. Like, they have so much give a fuck on the defensive end, which is crazy to say because one of them is Karl Anthony Towns. But they have the best defense in the league. But at the end of the problem with this team is when games are tight and it gets to the fourth quarter, Jesus Christ, this offense is just bad. The Timberwolves trying to get good shots in the clutch, it's a fucking chore. We are sitting on the precipice of one of the best players we've seen. And top like 2, 3, 4, 5 guy in the league, bona fide, for the next decade. He's getting there, right? But right now, we're just, he's still trying to figure out what he can do well, how to take over. The thing I said last time we talked about him is, like, he doesn't know. His bad games are still very bad, right? Like, he hasn't found the middle ground where his bad game is like 9 for 21. Anthony Edwards has to get over my bad game is I'm 2 for 15 with 13 points. Right now, when his lulls are bad, they just don't have the requisite juice, especially on offense. I think this team, their defense is good enough with what I feel the steps he could take could be, where they can win 16 games. But they're the team that I have the most red flags about. Teams that are just on the outside, the Suns, the Cleveland Cavaliers, saddest one, the Knicks. This team's really good. I think they could win it all. If all of them are there, like if I do a final title bubble right before the playoffs and all of them are back, I might put them in. Just be like, because I know with all of them there, I know that they're going to be good. Anywho, that's been the title bubble. I want to thank everybody who listened in. This has been the Educated Ignorance Podcast. If you ain't got your game, you best pass the sticks. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, we are out. Peace.